Hey.
It's Ashley Alban. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Food Porn, and today we have a special Super Bowl episode. So, get ready. I know I lost track of the days, so this is a little last minute, but today we are making vegan buffalo chicken dip. Exciting, right? The chicken substitute is going to be jackfruit. I know, I'm sure you're thinking, what is this sorcery? But jackfruit is the bomb. It really is. So this is what I have. You can go and find a can. Make sure you get it in water. Possibly you could use it packed in brine and just rinse it thoroughly, but definitely don't get it in syrup because you don't want it sweet, because that ruins the whole effect of making it meat-like. So we're kind of freeballing this episode today and the recipe because I've never made this with jackfruit before, but I love jackfruit and I know it's going to be awesome. Also because it's last minute, and if you would like to make this for the big game tomorrow, you can go buy some mock meat. This is my personal favorite for tender, delicious mock meat. Probably microwave a few of these and then chop them up, put the dip together in about 30 minutes. You'd be rocking and rolling. But we're not going to use this today, not us. Nope, we're using some jackfruit. And our topic for today's food porn is going to be butt sex. Because, oh my. I'm often kind of asked about anal, and whoa. Bro, this is like the worst can opener ever. And there's a lot to be said about it. But, okay. Intermission. I'm an idiot. I fixed it. I figured it out. Okay. There's a lot to be said about anal sex, and so I think it's important to start off with a bit of an introduction, and so this is going to be my meditations on anal sex. Now, where do you start? I'll tell you after I drain this. Well, we're going to start off by asking the very important question of what's the big deal about butt sex? I'm sure some of you may wonder, some of you guys, what the deal is. Others might be girls who are curious as to why their partners are so obsessed with sliding their penises side buttholes. So, what is the big deal about anal sex? Why is it so great? Well, it's not necessarily super great, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So, probably the biggest argument in favor of butt sex would be about the tightness of it. And that is true. Your rectum is much, much tighter than a vagina. Because what comes out of your rectum? So it's nice and tight to regulate it. You got your sphincters, you got your external sphincter, I think that's what it's called, the one on that you would control. You know, you can squeeze it, clench your butthole, so to speak. And so that is super tight. And So it can make sex much more pleasurable for the guy. Vaginas just, by their nature, are going to be looser because they're not holding anything back. You know what I mean? But the thing about that is, from the perspective of the receiver of the butt sex, the tightness is a good thing if a guy's dick is smaller, right? Because of nerve endings, which we'll get to next. However, if the guy has a rather large penis, it can be quite painful because it's really tight and there are a lot of nerve endings there. So it's not necessarily better, but to each his own. Some people are really into kind of like pain, sex thing, the mixture of BDSM and all that. I'm not a huge fan of it, so personally, when, like, for example, if I do anal for a video or on camera, I use a rather small dildo. That's my anal dildo, because then it actually, like, feels good. I can enjoy it. But when I used to have anal sex with my previous partner, his wee-wee was not wee-wee, and so it was not super enjoyable until you really got warmed up and into it and everything loosened. But overall, I would have to say that I preferred vaginal intercourse with that partner. But, you know, to each their own. Second point, and this would be from the perspective of the receiver, is that it feels better. Remember, could, kind of depends on the size of the wee-wee being used, but it would feel better because there are more nerve endings. And that is very true. There are a lot more nerve endings back there than there is in the vagina. And I don't really know this factually, but I've kind of thought about it, and so this is my, like, logical conclusion. And there's more nerve endings because you poo out of your butthole. So this is, if you don't know, there's going to be a lot of conversations about poo, because there should be, because it's anal sex. Just saying. So there are a lot of nerve endings, because think about it. Poo comes out of your back end there, and, like, you know, you would want to be notified if, you know, you're about to poo your pants, right? You would want to know about it in advance so you have the opportunity to go to the bathroom, right? So there are a ton of nerve endings back there. Like on the outside, around, you know, the anus, and then the rectum. There has a ton of nerve endings as well. The vagina doesn't have as many nerve endings. Really, there's only the nerve endings, like, around the opening and when you hit the G-spot, and then if you, like, hit the walls, you can kind of feel it. But honestly, you can't feel too much in the vagina. Like, really, it's kind of like a black hole once it goes inside. You can't feel too much. And I think that is because what comes out of a vagina hole? A baby's head. And they're quite large. So you don't want to feel all of that, do you? No, you don't. It's not like you're pooing. You're passing a really huge thing, and you don't want to have to feel every single bit of it all the way out. So I watched some TV show about women giving birth, and they always talk about the ring of fire when the head crowns. It's because that's really probably where most of the nerve endings are, around the opening of the vagina. So yeah, more nerve endings back there. But like I said, is it necessarily a good thing? It's a great thing if the penis is smaller, because you know, vagina doesn't feel quite as much unless you hit the G-spot. You have to add in some clitoral stimulation on the outside. I mean, but, you know, if you're working with a little bit smaller, it's better for both partners, because for the guy, the rectum is much tighter, so that'll feel better for him if he has a less equipped package, and then the woman will be able to feel a lot more. All right, we're going to take a little pause in our meditations on anal. I got all the jackfruit shredded up nicely. Took all the seeds out and minced up a bunch of garlic as well. So we're going to put it in here. We're going to mix it all up. Ooh, ooh, kill 'em. Ooh. Oh, yes. I'm going to marinate them in some vegetable broth. They also, I've seen at the grocery store, some like chicken-lish chicken broth, but I forgot to look. So you can use that if you found any, but I have not found any. So I'm just going to use this veggie broth instead to impart some flavor to our jackfruit. Got that garlic in there. It makes it yummy, yummy in your tummy. And since mine wasn't packed in brine, I'm going to add some salt. Also because there's no salt in my, what's it called? Veggie broth. So I'm going to add some salt. Like that. Mix it up a bit. And then I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to chill out. I would say give it at least an hour to kind of marinate together. I'm going to give it a few hours because I have some work to do. And then I'll meet you back here and we'll continue to talk about butt sex and buffalo chicken dip. Just took this out of the refrigerator. It's been marinating for a few hours now, so I'm just going to drain it, put it in the bake pan, and get it baking. Not real bacon though. So where were we in our discussion of the booties? We were talking about how anal sex can be a lot more pleasurable than vaginal intercourse because you have, you know, a tighter hole, more nerve endings, and that all kind of equals better sex, right? But on top of the physical positives, you also have the whole psychological appeal to it, and just the fact that it's a taboo thing. I mean, like, trust me, I make a lot of fetish content, taboo content. It's popular because it's deviant, it's different. Like, your butthole is an out hole. Things are only supposed to come out of it, not go into it. So it's just so, like, naughty. That's part of the appeal for both men and women. And then also, I mean, a lot of guys are super big fans of the booties. So if you love the booty, what would you love more than putting your dick in the booty? Exactly. Nothing. You would not like anything more than that. Well, maybe. But so, yeah, so you have that combination of the physical pleasure with the psychological, like, pleasure and appeal, and then you put it together, and that's why people make such a big deal about anal sex. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven, get it cooked up and toasted. Can you see this? I know it doesn't look like meat yet, but give it a second. Give it a second. Well, give it more like 10 minutes.
Right, we just took these out of the oven. Ooh, is it looking like chicken yet? So we're gonna let those cool off, and then we're gonna turn the temp down a little bit. Okay. Alright. Alright. Alright, let these cool off a little bit. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited.
Okay. Now it's time to mix this shit together. I'm going to use my absolute favorite vegan cream cheese. Fight me on it. Kite Hill is the best. Absolutely. I'm going to use some vegan ranch. Follow Your Heart is the best. Fight me on it. I actually really like the blue cheese dressing better. It tastes just like blue cheese, but I couldn't find it at the store, so we're using ranch. Slimming it a bit, I know. And then you gotta use your wing sauce for buffalo chicken. This has what's it called? Natural butter type flavor in it. But the company issued a statement saying that it is not made from milk or butter. So it is vegan safe, but if you don't want to consume something processed, you can use hot sauce mixed with melted vegan butter, but that's also processed, so I mean, whatever. And then we also got some cheddar cheese. Alright, so we already discussed what the big deal is about butt sex. Okay, I got it. Now, the final point I would like to make during these meditations is an important point that seems to be frequently overlooked by a lot of you guys who are obsessed with booty sex. And the fact is that butt sex involves your rectum and what comes out of the rectum. Poo. Poo does. I know, I'm sure you're like, oh my god, I did not want to hear about poop when I watched this video. But you know what? That's a part of anal sex. It's one and the same. So, I remember once upon a time, I was on cam, and we were talking about anal, you know, because it's kind of, you know, we talk about stuff. And there was this one guy in the room, and he was telling a story about how he had butt sex with his girlfriend, or perhaps it was just a woman that he was seeing at the time. And then he says how after they finished, he pulled his wee-wee out, and there was a little bit of poo on his dick. And then he finished the story with hashtag dirty, hashtag clean yourself. And, I mean, I'm, like, when I'm on cam, I'm not going to call people out for being stupid, but, like, that's the stupidest fucking thing ever. Because, like, bro, you just had anal sex. Are you seriously going to fucking complain about that? 1. 2, your rectum is part of a greater system in your body. Do you know what that is? It's your digestive system. It's an active system. You can't just press a button and pause it because you're about to have butt sex and just have it be like, no, you need to stop doing what you're doing for a little bit, because I'm about to put my dick inside part of you, and I don't want my dick to get covered with any of that. Ew, gross, hashtag clean yourself. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I mean, it's like, that's what comes out of there. And so unless, you know, your partner doesn't consume any solid food for a few days and, you know, performs a very thorough cleaning, I mean, it could happen. It's a risk that you run. It is. And like, okay. So you might be saying, well, you could just do an enema beforehand. And so I don't do that, but I have heard stories from within the porn industry about, so if you don't know what an enema is, you push a bunch of liquid up there, and then the liquid comes out and it like cleans everything out. However, I have heard that not all the liquid comes out at the same time all the time. And so there are stories during a shoot where, you know, because shoots, they're not like one and done. I mean, they're kind of a long process, you know, with starts and stops. And so at some point, you know, they stop and restart, and then there's some, you know, dirty water that comes out of there because not all the enema liquid came out. And so that happens. It's just a fact of life. You know, you can clean up as much as you can. You can think like you're prepared, like you're ready to go, like you're feeling good, you feel like you got cleaned out. But I mean, like I said, unless you're not eating any solid food and you thoroughly clean your system for a few days prior, like anything can happen. So, you know, let me tell you a story that you probably don't want to hear. You ready for it? So once upon a time, I was camming, and I had like 3 anal privates, like back to back to back. And every time I finished, you know, I pulled the dildo out and it was brand spanking clean. Like, I don't do ATM, but if I had to that day, I would have, because it was like super, super clean. Like, and I'm not saying that like most of the time it comes out dirty, but like it was like especially clean that day. Like there was no even like lube residue. Like, it came out like it was a perfect dildo. So because of that, I was like, you know what? Let me do like an anal show. So I was working on a site where you do like, they're called gold shows. So like people would pay an amount and it's like a set amount of time for the show. And so it was like, I usually did like an 8-minute show. Like, I call the shots, I do whatever I want, and you can watch and enjoy. And I was like, all right, let me do an anal gold show, because that would be super popular. And so I'm doing it. I'm in the show. I'm in like mid-show. And all of a sudden, my belly kind of gurgles a little bit. I don't know why. I kind of thought to myself, like, I wonder what that's about. But I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. So I just keep doing what I'm doing. Show ends, awesome, whatever. So like, you kind of like go away and everyone like files out of the show, and then like kind of like in away status, so nobody can see what's going on. So I like go and I pull the dildo out, and it was not clean. It was not clean anymore. Nope, it wasn't. So I had to like take a more extended break to like go and wash it off and everything. But you know, that's just, I'm not bothered by it, because it's just a part of the fucking package when you're doing anal. It's a part of it. And also, especially, like, I want to make this little note. If you have ever had anal sex before, or if you have ever played with your own butthole before, the sphincter like wants to constantly like tighten, which is like part of the appeal, you know. But it creates this, like, when it goes in and out, it creates kind of like a plunger type of thing. Like, I wonder if guys can feel it when you pull it out. Sometimes it'll be like almost like it's like the suction is gone. But what do plungers do? You know what they do. So if you're like plunging your butthole, like something that might be like deep up there can get like pushed further down your tract. And so yeah, especially if you're pulling your dick in and out, which I don't recommend doing, because that like increases the whole plunger business. So don't do that, because if you do, if you keep taking your dick all the way out so you can look at the gaping asshole, whatever you kids are into, and then putting it back in, guess what's gonna happen? You might pull some poo out, okay? It's just a fact of life, and you need to fucking get over it, because if you want to be an adult and you want to have anal sex, it's a risk you fucking run. Get over it. It's like not gonna be a lot, okay? It isn't. It'll just be a little bit, but deal with it, motherfucker. Seriously, deal with it. Grow the fuck up. If you can't be an adult about anal sex and understand that there's poo and there's very little that you can actually do about it, especially because, like, who wants to prepare for sex that you're going to have 3 days later? I mean, really. Spontaneous sex is the best sex. Fight me on it. So, you know, for all you guys who, like, are obsessed with butt sex and think it's like the greatest thing in the world, and you're so intrigued by it and you want to pressure your partner into having anal sex, but then you're too immature to deal with anal sex, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I don't. So those are my thoughts. So I provide reasons why anal sex is appealing, and then just a little note about, you know, the reality of it. The reality of anal sex. All right, so I got this all mixed up, put some cheese on top. I'm going to pop this in the oven, and then I'm going to have some delicious vegan buffalo chicken dip motherfucker for the Super Bowl. I'm so hype. I'm like really hungry for this. It tastes good. I'm sorry. I'm like... Also, I suppose I'm really passionate talking about poo, because, like, nobody wants to mention that, but, you know, it's like the elephant in the room when it comes to anal sex. I talked about it. Go cry to your mama. Poo comes out of butts. If you put your dick in a butt, you might get poo on it. Deal with it. Deal with it. All right, check back with you and show you the finished product. BRB. Taking this out of the oven. Let's see if I can show you without burning myself. All right, got it. Make sure all the cheese is melted. Make sure you wait a little bit before taking a bite. I'm gonna have some corn chips. You can use Frito-Lays, or not Lays, Frito, the little scoopers. I think that's like common for buffalo chicken dip, but I prefer a larger square area for my dipper. So I'm gonna use these big ass chips. And yeah, well, I'm gonna wait for it to cool a little bit. So I'm gonna give you a rundown. These were my meditations on anal. I explained why anal can be pretty awesome, the whole appeal around it, and then the most important point that people seem to leave out when discussing anal, because guess what? You can't talk about anal without talking about poo. They're not mutually exclusive. Deal with it. Just because you watch porn and you never see any poo on anybody's dick doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It means they edit it out. Okay? So grow up. Have anal sex like an adult. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is steaming. Can you see it steaming? I can see it steaming. Holy shit. Holy moly. Holy moly. Too much for a chip. Okay, let's have a smaller amount. Ooh, look at that cheese. Okay. Also, you could have garnished with some scallions, some green onions. I, quotes, forgot to buy them. So, I mean, I would totally garnish, but I didn't, so. I like really don't want to burn my tongue, because don't you hate it when you burn your tongue on the first bite and then you like ruin every future bite because your tongue hurts, but you're still eating because you love your food and you're fat and you love it. Dude, I just made that up. I never did it with jackfruit before. Oh my goodness. It tastes like buffalo chicken dip. I love buffalo chicken dip before I became vegan. Like this is the shiznit. Fudge on a fudging fudge stick. Oh my goodness. Yes. 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 Sorry, this is probably a long video, but Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hearing my thoughts, watching me make this bomb dip. I hope you guys enjoy the Super Bowl. Hopefully your team wins or your nemesis doesn't win or whatever. I don't know. Catch you guys on the flip side.